Hi folks, welcome back. Part 37, Project Bandit Thingy Bob. Today we are playing with blackwood paint, spray glue and scrim at last. Right, now this is just going to be the final covering for the tail. I've got lots to do between now and Thursday night. Thursday night because then I've got Friday to give it a shakedown run to work. Saturday, if I find anything on the shakedown run, to fix it in and then give it a final shakedown and make sure everything's correct for the show on Sunday. So it's got to be ready Thursday night, which is 4 days. I've got today, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's it. So I've got to thrash on a little bit now. I won't be filming every single facet because it's boring anyway. I just want to crack on in big lumps. I've got to put scrim over the tail, paint it, put the foam on it, and then the tail piece is done. Then it's the side mount, number plate, and then a final once over on the bike and make sure it's okay. And I just about think I've got enough time, hopefully. So for tonight I've got to crack on in big lumps and I've got to get all of this up as soon as I can. It may jump forward in big heaps. I just can't do anything about that because I want to get it ready for Sunday because it's quite an important event. So there we are. Scrim, spray glue and blackwood paint. Stick around, stay tuned. See what fun we can have. Right, I bolted it on just to do a final check for fit, which meant drilling out these mounts. Just took them out to 10mm rather than 9mm, so that there's just a little bit of movement as everything finishes and sets and all this finally goes hard. It's not going to twist the frame's rigid, but why risk it? And now that that's been effectively on its jig on the frame overnight, all that resin is now completely cured, as much as it ever will, without paint over it. So there we are. Right, so just first of all, that's the finish underneath. Sorry, that's the finish underneath. So that doesn't need fiberglass over it. It's rock hard, absolutely rock hard. I've hit that with a little hammer and it's just rock solid. Doesn't need anything. But what it's going to get, just to test that paint out and to seal all that stuff and stop it stinking, because that's how you stop your fiberglass. There we are. That's how you stop your fiberglass smelling. Just paint it, because it'll smell forever, literally, like a canoe. That's nasty. So, could paint this over now with some matte black, and that gives you a chance to test it out. So make some room on the bench. Right. So like I said, just testing out this new stuff. Never used it, don't know what it's like, but it says it's non-reflective super matte finish, high opacity. Opacity. Today's word is opacity. I like that. That's a cool word. Stirring stick. Oh, yeah, it's a bit thick at the bottom. This is the stuff that when you read the instructions, it says on the back that it's for black drops for theatre and stuff. Absolutely opaque. One coat, can't see through it, which is cool because I can't be arsed painting this twice. Right. Just using this as a test piece. Do the underneath, no matter what it looks like. Right, that's the first coat. That's a thick coat of that matte black. Gone on 4 PM. So we'll see how long that takes to dry off. And now I can get involved in the scrimmage. So it's set up. Time for the scrim. Right, there are just a few little tough spots on it. Just little sharp bits. Just in between this, as I said, I sort of off camera to get the thicknesses up. There's 3 layers of fiberglass on that now, and each one soaked in resin, good and proper. So it's quite thick, and these little downward spars were coming outside, and they were sitting obviously on top of the lateral spars, and that meant that they were proud. So once there was 2 layers of fiberglass on, I was able to get the flat disc in and grind all these little knuckles down, so that actually now it's all smooth and these ones don't stick out more than those. They look as if they're a crossbar, which is quite cool. And then the final coat of glass over the top just smoothed it all in. But there's just typical with fiberglass, there's little sharp bits which will come back and bite you. And that's all I'm doing now. Just going to go over it with a bit of paper, a bit of 240, and just knock all the little rough edges off that are going to catch the cloth and stop it sinking in properly and stick out and look cracked. Oops. Good thick coat. Right, now's the moment of truth. Absolutely love this. Right, get your scrim if you're going to do this. And just start with a corner. I don't bother cutting it up, I just cut the spare off once it's done. And all I'm doing is putting a single layer over the job. And it kind of stretches in all directions, so you can lay it on, pull it off, and it doesn't stick too much. Now, what I do with that, right? Now I've found obviously there's no doctrine for this, but personally I've found the best technique for whacking scrim on is just to stroke it across the top, flick it down onto the surface. If you start prodding, you start sticking your finger to the glue, and then that sticks to the scrim and it pulls it off, and you just end up with a right old mess. The idea is to just get the cotton to make contact with the glue and stick, but not stick to you. It's a bit of a challenge, it's a bit messy, but it's good fun. I absolutely love scrimming. Got quite good at it since, well, if I might say so myself, got quite practiced at it, should I say, since doing half the Bandit in it. And I've tried a few different scrims, the aftermarket stuff you can get, you know, the sort of civilian toy shop stuff is shit. It's all elastic and lycra filled and stretchy and horrible. This is great. This is the only stuff to use. It's just pure cotton. Works best. Proper NATO scrim. You can get it in any surplus shop, any army surplus, online, Silverman's, anywhere you like. And the good old upholstery glue should I say, is the best thing to stick it with. The first layer on, I'm just going to cut round it just to release the stock of cloth ready for the next one. I will trim it all up later on once it's painted. Right, there it is. That's 5:30 now. It's an hour and a half. The matte black inside hasn't dried, so it is definitely an evaporation or overnight job. And I'm just making the last efforts to push, taking all the time I can, just to push these little pockets, because now and again it stretches back and it just lifts it off the glue. but as the glue gradually sets, just keep pushing it back on, and each time it grips it a bit more, and you end up with that. Now, it would appear that if you brush too much, it drags it off the surface. I don't know whether the glue is being dissolved by the paint or what, but in the past it's always stuck real well. So now I'm just touching it on gently so as not to disturb any of the scrim, which is nicely pushed down. You can kind of push it back down a bit, but once the paint sets, this stuff will shrink. You do get kind of a vac bag effect, which is quite cool. And for me, to be honest, I still think that the spider web effect is a little bit too pronounced, so I'll be putting on a few layers of paint just to dampen it down a bit, just to get it right. And it will probably take, I'd imagine, overnight to go to harden off, because this is just sucking it in. It really is, as it always does. This stuff, it just breathes the fluid in. That's why you couldn't possibly use aerosol cans, because all it does is coat the surface. The cotton soaks up the paint, and you need all that will go on there. But that's again why you use water-based paint, because all the water in that, which is probably 2/3 of it, will evaporate. So it won't make it too heavy, unlike an oil-based paint, which certainly would make it extremely heavy. Just doing this little bit at the front. The seat foam's going to be in the middle, but I'll bring the foam to there and stop, so this will show. Thus it are scrimmaged, scrimmified. Right, that'll do for that. 2 layers of scrim and 2 coats of paint. Some places it's lifted up, but that's not a bad thing. I kind of like that, because it's lifting like here, where it's lifting off the surface slightly, where the glue, I don't know, isn't the same glue as I used in the past. I like that because it's just softening the effect, the spider effect. Because if it's too pronounced, it won't look right. So that will be cool. But honestly, this stuff's pretty cool. I've done it loads and loads of times now. I've done the whole bike in it, on the mask there. It's still soft a week later. So when we get this to Brightona, this might still be fingernail soft, but it will be done and it won't come off. There we go. That'll do for tonight. Right, that's enough of that. That's 37. Thanks for all the kind comments and the support. It's making this a lot easier as I go along. It's pretty much on target. 3 more nights after this one. That'll get another coat of paint tomorrow, and then the foam put on it, and then it's done. That's it. Side mount number plate, got a plan for that. Not going to be able to make one, just haven't got the time. So I've got one I'm going to be able to adapt. That'll work. It was the one that was on the bobber that in fact the light came from. So that's cool. That will be going on. And that's it really. So there really isn't as much as you think. Well, there is really, but there we are. Okay, thanks for tuning in and watching Delboy's Garage. That's been 37. See you for the next one.